3,100 per ounce of gold, for example, as opposed to silver is $35 per ounce. So it definitely, with silver, is definitely the best buy, and now is the time to start thinking and buying silver for your future. Obviously, if you can afford gold, then you buy both. If you're able to do both, then that's great and wonderful. But if you're not, then start with silver, for example, and build your stock, for example. Make sure that you get a home safe, and don't tell anyone that you're holding gold. You know, make sure it's not on your, you know, where you're telling everyone, oh, I've got it here in my house and blah, 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 for example. You don't want to do that, okay? So the next strategy that I want to talk about is how do you split your silver, okay? So you want to really have physical silver, because the IRA only for an amount above 50,000, for example, avoids a fee, for example. So I would be looking at the physical, like if you're in the UK, there's the Britannias, for example. Now, what you want to look at is really looking at how you can calculate your silver, for example. So if you buy a silver coin every month at $35, for example, imagine by the end of the year you've got 12 silver coins, and imagine if the value for each coin that you bought for $35 is now $800 per coin, for example. That's like $9,000, $10,000 for 12 coins if the silver is at 800 per ounce, for example. Now, this is the reason, like I said, the reason why I'm doing this video is for us to really start thinking about planning for our retirement. Maybe you are retired already, then start putting some money and buying yourself some physical silver. There's dealers out there, there's bullion dealers. I'll put a link here for a reputable company, JM Bullion, for example, is one of them. There's dealers in your locality, for example, that you can look at. But what is important is to look at, start building your silver wealth foundation, because in 10 years time, or even 5 years time, we don't know what the true pension amount is going to be. There's tariffs going on, the stock market is going up and down, and we don't know what the true value is going to be. We can do the calculator and say, yes, we're going to get this amount, but what happens if we've got, if the money has been put into a stock that the government has used and we've lost a large amount, for example? So that could possibly reduce, even though there's meant to be a safety net there, but it could reduce the full amount and you could be not getting what you expected to get. So this is why I'm so passionate about this, because I want us to be prepared to really have our own vault, have our own silver vault. We don't have to buy the gold at $3,100 per ounce. We can buy silver at under $35 per ounce, and silver is going to go up in value because of the need is more needed, more than what the actual gold is, because gold is for material purposes, for example, as opposed to silver is the jewelry, for example, but also the practical, the industrial. They need all of these things, and it needs to be silver. That at the moment there's no substitute for silver for those products that they need, for example, to make, that we see on a regular basis, for example. So do you really want to inherit silver? I would love to hear your feedback. If you're already building your retirement plan, if you're already building your wealth plan, for example, if you're already purchasing silver, tell me, what do you think about the IRA, gold IRA, or physical gold? I'd love to hear your thoughts on both matters, and I would love also for you to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you've enjoyed what I've had to say, because I'm going to be talking a lot about retirement and semi-retirement and gold and silver, because I think it's important that we look at the financial part of this as part of the retirement strategy for our future, for example. I also want to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed to the channel. I really do appreciate you. And I also want to say thank you for your likes, and I really do appreciate your comments. It really lets me know that you can hear what I'm saying and you understand where I'm coming from, because the only things that we can control is this, for example, our lives, for example, as much as possible. And by looking at this silver, if you can't afford the gold, for example, then the silver is the best bet, because I believe it's going to outperform the gold, and it's going to skyrocket past it, because the need is more, and it's going to happen soon. Because imagine, why do you think the banks, why do you think the Federal Reserves, why do you think Fort Knox, why do you think everybody is like ordering gold and silver? Especially silver has now become the new gold. Millionaires, billionaires, Federal Reserves, our governments, for example, they're ordering tons of silver to be delivered into their own vaults. And they're doing that for a reason. They're not ordering cash, because cash is reducing. They say cash is trash. That's what people are saying now. Whereas silver and gold is valuable. And there's nothing, like I said, nothing like holding it and physically having this, so that if you do need it, or if you do want to cash it in, or for your pension, or even as a down payment for a house, or a gift, or college fund, or whatever that you want to use it for, it is a long-term plan. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is a slow, steady pace, a 5-10 year plan. So this is the reason why I've come on today to really go through this with you, if you're not aware of what's happening with silver, because it is exploding right now. So I want to say thank you for joining me, and I hope that you've enjoyed off, for example. And I think it's important to really look at what the future is and how we can help it to grow and get stronger by us being in control of what we are doing. Because when we look at how the governments are really doing things, it is really slowing things down for us. So I really want you to be aware of what your choices are and how you can grow your business. So not your business, sorry, your retirement plan, okay, your wealth building strategy. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I've really enjoyed speaking with you. And let me know your comments. I greatly appreciate it. So yes, you read the 999. Yeah, you see, gold and silver is the best thing. It stands the test of time. It will stand the test of time, whereas paper money does not stand the test of time. And we can see that when we go into the supermarkets, we can see when we go into the shops, the value when we pay for something with cash, and then we come out and we thought, what have we just brought? We've hardly brought anything. So that is a really bad sign. But all of the governments around the world, they are ordering silver like it's going out of fashion. They're all being drained because everyone wants their silver and gold back, and especially silver. The billionaires and the millionaires are buying tons of silver, literally containerfuls full of silver, not just 1 or 2 bars. So what does that tell you? That silver is becoming the new gold, and the price at $35 per ounce is amazing. And they're keeping it low because they need to be able to do the manufacturing with the silver, for example. But if you don't start buying it now, the price is going to increase because the demand is more because of the AI and the robots and the electronic vehicles and medical equipment, Apple, for example, tech. They all need silver, and there's no substitute for it at the moment. So silver is going to go up in price because the demand has now become needed more. There's not enough demand for the supply, and that's happening now. They're saying that they've only got 20 years worth of silver, unless they come across more silver mines that they've got to discover, and that takes time. It's not like they can just say, okay, I've just seen this, I've just spotted this silver mine here, because then it's got to be mined, it's got to be processed, it's got to be extracted, it's going to take a team of people, there's things that needs to be done. It's not instant. So remember that when the demand outweighs the supply, the price goes up. It's just like with Apple iPhones. When they came out, they were charging nearly $1,000 for example. Not nearly $1,000, about $500, I believe, for example, and then it went up and up. But they only sold so much, and then they ran out, didn't they? So everyone was like rushing to buy it, and they could charge a higher price because they created this scarcity. And this isn't scarcity, actually. This is real. The demand is outweighing the supply, which is a problem in 20 years' time. So you imagine what that silver is going to be amounting to in 5-10 years' time, because it's going up about 10-20%, for example. But you couldn't get that in the bank. If you put your money in the bank, you could not get 20% back from your savings in a bank. Whereas with silver and gold and other precious metals, there's more investment. Like I said to you, David Bateman, you can check that out yourself. I mentioned it in one of my videos that I did a couple of days ago, where he purchased $305 million worth of silver. Literally couldn't even fit it in a photo. There was so much silver, and he's made so far a profit of $60 million. So that is amazing. For example, not saying that you to spend millions on silver, but some people have, some billionaires have, because they've been able to do that. But if you can start off small and grow in a structured way, where you're buying a coin a month, for example, or even a silver bar, if you're able to, for example, then you're building your wealth that way. You're building your future. It's like that's your stock, not the stock market. This is your stock that you're relying on. It is your monetary system, which is silver and gold. And thank you so much for commenting. Thank you so much. Thank you I appreciate your comments here, I really do. And physical is the best way. I believe so, and I believe a lot of people do, and you do as well. So thank you so much for commenting. I do appreciate you. Thank you. So join me tomorrow if you're able to, and I'll be going into some more discussions about retirement, planning for retirement or semi-retirement, because we need to, even if you're in your 40s, it's still something that we need to start planning and doing, because there's people that's had gold from when they were children, and silver, for example, and they're adults, and they've been able to, have like $1 million, for example, of what it's worth today. For example, I talked about in a video whereby you buy a property in 5 years' time, where you've put money down from silver purchasing, for example. So I just want to share with you that we need to really be aware of what's happening in the banks, the governments, the central banking systems, the reserves. They are draining. They're calling it drainage. So you know that they're buying it by the tons. They're not buying it by one silver bar at a time. They're buying tons of it, and it's like taking months for it to arrive. So if they're having problems, you can imagine. So it's time to really start thinking about this for our future, because we don't know what the stock markets are going to be like. We don't know what the effects are going to be from the tariffs as well. So let's be proactive and build something for our future, for our retirement, so that we're not in a state where we're living from month to month and having to ask for our pension money, for example, and not getting the full amount. Even though you may have private pensions as well, are you going to get the full amount of what you've put in? Only time will tell, and we won't find out until the time comes. So thank you so much, and thank you for your comments, and I'd love for you to join me tomorrow live at 9 o'clock, where I go more into silver, because I love silver because of how versatile it is. It is a versatile thing, but also it is something which is being used for industrial and manufacturing purposes, and that is going to make it more valuable than what gold is currently at the moment. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to joining you tomorrow, and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.